Hello everyone, my name is Meghan LeVota, I'm an ENFJ. So today I would like to talk about bitchiness in the INFJ. And the reason why I thought of this idea, it's not because an INFJ was a bitch to me, it's not because I'm singling you guys out. Shout out to Elizabeth from Twitter if you are watching this, but there was a tweet that I saw from an INFJ that was like, how do I stop being bitchy? And then they clarified, I didn't actually do anything wrong. I just feel bitchiness deep to my core or something like that. Sorry if I'm paraphrasing it. And I thought that this was such a funny tweet to read because it was a little bit relatable, I would say, probably to other INFJs and even ISFJs, maybe even all FJs, because the advice that I gave her back, she enjoyed. And so I thought that I would expand on that topic. And just in case there are any other INFJs out there who relates to this, or maybe you've been on the other end of an INFJ where you feel like they're judging them, or maybe you have no clue what I'm talking about and you want me to describe what this dynamic is, I'll tell you, is that INFJs, because their second function is extroverted feeling, which is in their growth key, or the auxiliary function. Auxiliary. I've been saying that word wrong, probably most of these videos, by the way. Since their second function, the auxiliary, is extroverted feeling, and then their third function, the tertiary, is introverted thinking, there's this sort of tug of war balance going on between extroverted feeling and introverted thinking. So when you open up the brain of an INFJ, they are people that really are aware of the emotional environment and of the people around them, and they are aware of the harm that they may or may not be causing. And they aren't just focused on the physical, tangible harm. They're not just talking about making sure they don't trip people. They want to make sure that they are not causing psychological harm or a more intuitive, deep behind the surface. They're looking, as they use introverted intuition, to the very depths of the problem. But their introverted thinking is very strong, yet, how do I explain this? They don't really know how to use the tool, yet the tool is there at their disposal. So what happens to a lot of INFJs when they use their thinking is that they have too many opinions to know what to do with. And so what a lot of them do is shove them down into their shadow, into their subconscious. They shove them down and think, well, that's not a really nice thing to think. Well, that's kind of a harsh opinion. They have very harsh opinions. And ISFJs are this way as well. ISFJs also have introverted thinking in their third slot. Now, I call the third slot the gilded coin slot, also called the tertiary. I will have that sort of reference below if you are still learning the functions. But because it's in that slot, we tend to either overuse or underuse that function, or there's something about that function that we are not seeing clearly. We're either over-exaggerating our abilities. INFJs will say oh no, I'm always right, or they'll sort of flippantly use their judgments, their introverted judgments, or they will say, oh no, who, me? I don't have any opinions, that sort of thing, not realize the impact of it. So the advice that I gave Elizabeth, which is what started this whole thing, sorry for all the background, was that I think that if you accept the fact that you have opinions and you accept your introverted thinking, then it actually helps in the long run, because the more your extroverted feeling is trying to control whether or not you're allowed to have introverted thinking opinions, they're gonna leak out at times when you least expect it. INFJs tend to think, if they don't have anything nice to say, why say it at all? But then when you live that way for days, months, years, and then you're never saying anything at all, a lot of resentment can come through. And if you don't process that resentment, then your loved ones are still going to notice the bitchiness, if you want to call it that. They're still going to notice it because it's going to leak out into the external world. And what a lot of INFJs do is just retreat and withdraw into their introverted shell, and maybe you aren't even taking responsibility for the way that your introverted thinking is leaking out into the world. So if the answer for INFJs is, okay, so I've got to accept that I have opinions. A lot of you watching this probably already have done that, or maybe you've already accepted, yeah, it's okay to have opinions. So yeah, that's the first step. If you're an INFJ who doesn't really like the fact that you have opinions and you're still trying to shove them down and repress them so that you can act nice, the first step is to just accept that you have them. So let's say that you're already trying to accept that you have them. Okay. I think along with this, it's important to realize that there's a difference between being mean and being discerning. And something to remember for you all is that something that can happen is that you guys are so focused on not being mean that it's like you turn the switch off, but then when you let yourself use TI, you turn it on, and then all of a sudden you are like, whatever, FE, I'm just going to say what I think. So it's really important to focus on balance and making sure that, yes, INFJ, it is totally cool for you to have opinions and to share them. But if you wait until the very last minute until it explodes out of you, it's actually going to impact the FE environment in ways that you didn't intend. And I think just realizing that this is not a binary this or that. It's not, oh, I need to be nice or I can have opinions. Just make sure that you aren't looking at it as a binary thing. Because I think that trust your abilities to smooth things over and be the mediator like you are so good at. Trust your abilities to share your opinion in a nice tone as soon as you thought of it. Because let me just back up and share something else for those of you who didn't connect. The INFJ, their mental blind spot function or their polar function in socionics is extroverted thinking. So INFJs have a hard time expressing what they think logically. They are so much more comfortable sharing what they feel. So this is sort of how, if you look at the mechanics of how an INFJ works, their opinions can get stocked up. It's like you're constipated. It's like your introverted thinking is like stopped up with all of this in your head that you don't know how to let out because you don't know how to use extroverted thinking to express your thoughts logically. And so I think that if you can connect the fact that TI helps FE, and that it's not a this or that. It's not a, oh, I'm going to hide my opinions so that I can be nice. If you can realize I can't be kind and loving to my friends unless I share my opinions, then you can use FE as the mouthpiece for those opinions. You can say, hey, I have been feeling really not seen by you lately, or hey, I've been feeling like, or even just something more simple. If it's like, hey, I'm really cold in here, like, can you please turn the heat up? Or, hey, actually, I don't want to hang out right now. Like, that sort of thing. Like, if that's like your actual opinion, and you, as opposed to in your head thinking like, oh my God, this person is so inconsiderate, they didn't even blah, blah, blah. as opposed to thinking that if you can share what your opinions are to the people around you, then it's not going to lead to more resentment in the long run. And I have a feeling that in this video, there's going to be some INFJs that are going to find this mind-blowing, and some of you guys who have probably already come to this conclusion are thinking that I'm being slow. So I apologize. I'm trying to sort of capture multiple different perspectives here, because I just want to say that your introverted intuition is already really good at thinking about patterns and how things can affect things in the long run. But your introverted intuition is a lot more focused on the emotional realm than it is the logical realm. So what I'm really trying to connect with you guys is the understanding that your TI does bleed into FE. Your introverted thinking, your personal opinions, your discernment does impact the extroverted feeling. And when that really connects, I have a feeling it's going to be really helpful to a lot of you guys, because yeah, it's not this or that. Sharing your opinions to your loved ones is an act of kindness, because it helps them help you and it smooths the process. I've talked about this before, but feeling functions and thinking functions, they have nothing to do with morality, and they have nothing to do with something being accurate or not. You can use thinking functions for a moral purpose, or you can use feeling functions to find truth and be more accurate. So I guess really what I'm trying to connect is that you can use your introverted thinking to be kind. It is the moral thing to do, to not let those opinions build up. And back to what Elizabeth said in her tweet, it was saying, I haven't actually done anything wrong. I just feel like a bitch deep down to my core, or something like that. That's where it really is the inner work that is the problem. Because you guys with NI and FE, you're already focused on your behavior. You're already focused on, should I do this or this? Is this going to make my loved ones happy, or is this going to? Is this going to cause harm to people or to me? Is this going to cause harm, or is this? You guys are already excellent at asking yourself, is this going to cause harm, or is this? But the problem with introverted thinking is that the introverted functions are a little bit more immediate, whereas the extroverted, the introverted judging functions are a little bit more immediate, because TI is typically used in conjunction with SE or NE. So they're sort of like snap opinions in your head. And so a lot of you INFJs have probably already realized that, well, this is just a little opinion and it's probably going to go away later. But you're more focused on the FE long term. And you can sense, but see, your TI might feel an opinion in the moment. You can sense that it's probably going to go away. And so you tend to just trust the FE that, oh, well, that opinion is probably going to go away, because it will probably go away. But if you want to avoid exploding, if you want to avoid feeling resentment and feeling bitchy towards people, especially, I feel like this tends to happen when you love someone the most. This happens more when you love them, because you wouldn't bother thinking about them so much if you didn't care, to at least some extent. Or this could also happen like in the workplace, with something that you care about your job, and so you care about these things as well. What was I saying there? Okay. So you care about it, and that's why you think about it so much. What I'm trying to say is that you guys, your NI is looking at the long term, and you're using FE to help you make those decisions. But you are correct in assuming that one little opinion here and there isn't really going to impact things in the long term. And that's what most of you guys do, especially when you're younger and you haven't like encountered this backfiring. So yeah, that's fair. But introverted thinking, if it builds up without being processed, it's almost like you reach your limit. I kind of just thought of phrasing it this way. So if this is confusing, I apologize. Ask me a question in the comments and I can try and clarify that more. But really, I'm realizing that the introverted judging functions, if you deny them always, then they're never going to process, and it's like a rotten trash can. Like it's like you left the trash sitting there and you didn't think through it. Like it can get rotten. And that's why IPs, INFP, ISFP, INTP, and ISTP, that's why they're always thinking, processing, mulling things over. That's why they're always doing that. They're always cleaning out the trash can. Like with FI DOMs, they're doing that with their emotions. But with introverted thinking, TI DOMs, they're doing that with their opinions. And if you talk to a TP, they are going to be a lot more okay with saying their opinions. And weirdly enough, it's always an FJ who finally snaps sharing their opinion that comes off a lot ruder than a TP just sharing their opinion. So I think just really the main thing to process is that your NI has to connect, that over time, if you don't take the trash out when it comes to your introverted thinking, if you don't accept it, then it will come back to bite you, and eventually the trash can will be rotten because you didn't take it out. So I really hope that this advice helped. I think that ISFJs probably relate as well, despite having a different dominant function. If you have a similar question that you would perhaps like me to go into a video about sometime, I do offer a consulting question service where if you want me to get to one of your questions, I can either send you an audio or it can come up as a YouTube video. I also offer typing services, mentorship services, and there's a free Facebook group for personality typology for self-growth, as well as I'm an attendant on a Discord server. So if you're trying to get involved in the community, I have links like that below. And yeah, still not sure your type, that's totally okay. I know that a lot of my videos can be very specific to the functions. So if you still don't know your type, join one of these communities or get typed by me. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful rest of your day.